Good afternoon, welcome to EduSet Network. Friend, today we are going to discuss visual research technique. When you analyze the trend of last few years, we find that the audio-visual media is dominating every space. Social media, you can say, or whatever we want to see the things in visual form. We listen to the news, we watch the cinema, etc. So we can say that this is a time of visual, audio-visual time. Students are also preferring to listen lecture on audio-visual mode. So the point here arises: how can we analyze these things? How it's shaping the mind, consciousness of the people? So our focus is to understand this phenomena, and then we'll try to understand how can visual we use as a data, then analyze it as a tool of research. So we'll discuss all the dimensions of visual research technique, and for discussion on this very topic, we have in the studio Dr. Amen Thakur. He's an academician, thinker, and guiding MPhil and PhD students in Jawaharlal Nehru University. He's a associate professor of political science and has experience of also guiding students in visual research. So I think his knowledge will certainly help us to understand this topic. And Dr. Thakur has also written 2 books and contributes in different journals writing for different issues. So I think his knowledge and experience will help us to understand visual research technique and will give a new insight. So on behalf, I welcome him. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. So we have been talking about various qualitative research techniques. One of the techniques that I think can be very useful for the present generation, and probably this technique is going to pick up in times to come, is something called visual sociology. It can be called visual research technique or visual sociology. What I will do is I will pick up 4 issues to discuss. The first issue is a bit philosophical and abstract issue, that is about the complexity theory and the reflexivity debate in social sciences. The second issue is about dimensions of the visuals, data, process and product. And third is I will talk of a couple of experiments in visual research. And fourth, I will pick up certain debates, particularly the debate about objectivity versus subjectivity in visual research and technology versus creativity. So these are the 4 dimensions I will try to discuss today. Let me pick up the first thing, that is the science, the issue of the science in social science. You know, we have discussed at some stage that how social science is supposed to be scientific, and in the initial phases of social science we thought that social science will have to be very close to the natural science. It has to follow the epistemology of the natural science. Let me briefly tell you about this history of science and how social science got transformed in between. The first phase of science, the modern science, is a Newtonian phase of science, and we know that Newton said that, well, the nature is governed by certain laws, and through experiments we can understand those laws, we can capture those laws. Once we capture the laws, we can actually know about the past and the future and the present. And obviously these laws can also help us in designing technology for ourselves. So this was the dominant mode of thinking in the beginning of the modern period, and people started thinking of everything through this kind of epistemic frame, that ultimately all knowledge will have to be based on the idea of modern science. The epistemology of modern science became so dominant that those who were thinking about society, they also thought that in society we have to capture certain laws, and if we can capture those laws, we can design the way we want, we can do certain kind of social engineering in society, we can transform the society in a desired way. But this model generated a kind of philosophy of science which is called a positivist philosophy of science, that everything was fixed and determined, and if your experiments don't prove something, that cannot be accepted as truth. Now, the problem with the social science is that truth is not very transitive, it is very intransitive truth. The truth, the nature of truth, the nature of reality that you explore, the ontological structure of natural science is very different compared to the social science. You are dealing with the matter, the properties of the matter, and in social science you are dealing with the properties of the human beings. Now, human beings are very, very complex beings. In that particular period, philosophers like Hobbes, Locke and Rousseau, they thought, and many others in fact, even Kant and Hegel, they thought that there are certain definite features of human beings, and those features can be studied in great detail, and they can be used for theorizing the human society. But the problem was that they thought of the features in a very limited way. In fact, human beings do have certain features, but the features are very complex and very wide, and it is also determined geographically and culturally. There cannot be any universal aspect of human behavior. In fact, all human behavior are conditioned by culture and geography and so many other things. So, there was a problem of understanding of society at that time, and in the meantime there was a new revolution in science which is called theory of relativity. Einstein came and gave us the idea of relativity and said that, well, it all depends from where are you looking at the things. Things are being visible relatively to the position from where you are seeing the things. Now, in science, this was a very simple experiment. One can see if you are sitting in a train and the train is moving and somebody is standing outside, will treat you as a moving object. If you are inside the train and watching the person sitting in the train, you will not treat the person as moving object. So, speed also becomes relative, size becomes relative, everything is relative. We can only think in a relative way. Now, this idea generated a new kind of philosophy of science and doubted the earlier philosophy of science, doubted the earlier way of looking at society, and it said that, well, it means that the social facts are also relative, that all societies have different epistemic frames, and therefore they are thinking about things differently. So, you have new kinds of understanding society emerge with that, and gradually you have another change in science that is called quantum physics, where even the observer's consciousness, they believed, was determining the position of the object. So, the consciousness, the element of consciousness which was consciously kept away in earlier project of social science has now entered into the fray, not only of social science but also of science. And gradually the last stage of development of science, and which is presently being further explored, is the chaos theory, where they believed that, well, nature is not only ordered, it is not only governed by certain laws in a way that everything is ordered and it is producing regularity, but nature is quite chaotic. Earlier they thought whatever is chaotic is not subject of scientific investigation. Now they are thinking that, well, anything which is even chaotic we have to understand, and there can be a scientific understanding of that. So, the science itself has changed, and with this kind of history of science you have new understandings of reality, you have new ontological explorations, and we have reached to the stage now where we are saying that, well, we do not know much. There is an age of uncertainty. We are very uncertain about things because the initial euphoria of science is almost over. Now, the kind of stage we are into now, this only suggests that we have to have a very different kind of ontological and epistemological assumptions. The theory of reality and the theory of knowledge will have to be informed by this idea of chaos, and that is idea of complexity. You know what is complexity? Earlier we thought that if you have a big problem, you can resolve a smaller problem of same kind and abstract the method of resolving that problem and use to resolve the bigger problem. Imagine you want to buy 10,000 mangoes and you have discovered that 5 mangoes are being sold in 5 rupees. So, you can easily derive by unit method that how much money you require to buy 1 mango and then how much money you require to buy 10,000 mangoes. So, if you reduce the larger sum into a unit sum and then from there you abstract a formula and then use that formula to analyze the bigger problem. So, this is called a simplistic understanding of the reality. But imagine when you are going to buy 10,000 mangoes, you have the bargaining capacity. Now, you can bargain with the seller. So, you may get 10,000 mango in less than the amount that you can calculate through your unit method. Now, this is a phenomenon which is always there, but mathematically it was never understood earlier because it has a very subjective element. Now, this produces a complexity, idea of complexity, that the simple system and the complex systems are two different systems. The kind of method that you want to use for simple system cannot be used for complex system. That is the basic idea, that the complex system is a system which has many variables. Let me define it like that. The system which has many variables is called complex system. The system which has less variable is called ordered system, simple system. Now, the moment the variables are more, you will have a problem in calculating things. I will give you an example, exactly the example which generated the idea of chaos theory. There was a scientist who was trying to calculate the data to declare to forecast the weather of the next day. The scientist was sitting in his lab and weather forecast lab and trying to calculate that through computer. Now, he was in a little hurry and his name was Lawrence. He was in a little hurry, and what he did, he calculated the number which was a very small number, but there were many numbers after the decimal. So, he thought there was no point in calculating the whole big number, but just take 3 numbers after the decimal, and then 10 times or 20 times or something he had to calculate, or 200 times or something like that. Now, when he calculated the data by reducing the numbers after the decimal and brought out the result, and then he just tried to see outside the window what kind of weather it was, it was very clear that the forecast was wrong. He realized that probably this forecast will never work because the weather does not suggest like that. So, there is something wrong with the calculation. Now, this man, what he did, he put all the numbers of the decimal once again and then repeated the calculation and discovered that there was a big difference in the result. So, he was slightly worried that why this big difference was there, and from there he derived this idea that if you have less number of variables, then a small difference in the initial condition does not bring differences, but if the variables are too many, then minor difference can bring major difference. In their language it says that if a butterfly swings its wings in India, there can be a major change in the weather in Brazil. This is called a Lorentz butterfly effect, and a lot of films are made. I will talk about the films about this. So, this kind of reality, the understanding of the reality which is more complex, the more complex reality has to be understood in a more complex way. There are many variables, so you have to take those variables into consideration. So, this is a complexity theory. Now, in society, you have different kinds of situations. There can be a very stable society, there can be very complex society, very unstable society. The stable society you call closed society. The unstable society you call open society. Now, the open societies, to talk about the open society with the model of the closed society is something which is not going to work very well. Take an example. You have the method of forecasting elections. So, you went there, conducted a survey, got the data, sat down and analyzed the data and declared that A or B or C candidate is going to win. Now, if it is a very stable situation, probably some major input in finance in the money in that area, or major input in the form of intensive advertisement, major input in the form of some kind of say public event, will not bring much change in your result. But if suppose this is a very communally sensitive area or caste sensitive area, then there is a probability that a small event in that area, either of putting a lot of money in that area or having some kind of sensitive event in that area, probably may change your result drastically. So, a complex society cannot be understood with the simplistic theories. That is the basic idea. Now, if that is true, then the positivist philosophy will not work. Then we have to look for a new kind of social science. We have to have a new kind of philosophy. So, two kinds of philosophies emerged on this basis. One is called Post-Modernism, which says that, well, it is difficult to have any theory of society, very difficult to have any theory of society. Theory itself is very difficult, because the moment you want to make a theory, you universalize certain things. Things are so different, so chaotic, that we can't universalize anything. There is another kind of argument, the critical realism, that yes, there are open societies and closed societies, and all the phenomenon may have some open or some closed variety, or you can scale them on the closed and open variety, and accordingly you can try to understand them. And then instead of being positivist, you try to have that space of flexibility, of seeing to what extent it is closed, to what extent it is open. Now, this kind of idea generated new kind of social science. Let me put this critical realism in a little better way. The critical realism suggested that a reality can be multi-layered. The same reality may be seen as closed at certain stage, and when you go deeper, it can be seen as open at certain stage. So, all these methods you are using, you may get certain kind of ideas from the reality, certain kind of theorization you can do through methods, but then you have to constantly think to what extent you are getting the depth knowledge of the reality. I think it would be interesting to note here that when we are trying to understand society, we have to have certain kind of parameters which can tell us whether it is a chaotic society or it is an ordered society, means whether it is a complex society, whether it is not a complex society. All societies are relatively complex and relatively open. That is the basic idea I want to push forward. So, you have to have some kind of determination of the degrees of these things. Now, once we have this kind of complexity theory, your understanding of society will be different, and best example one can take, the kind of social science is produced, or kind of philosophy debates in philosophy it produced. The best example of that we can get in one of the reports produced by what is called Gulbenkian Commission report, in which Ilya Prigozhin, who was a scientist of chaos, was also there, and Immanuel Wallenstein, who is one of the prominent social scientists, was part of the committee. So, the committee was constituted to to give a report on the state of social sciences, and committee gave a very interesting report. And the title of the report itself is very interesting. It is called "Open the Social Sciences." So, you need to open the social sciences. Why do you need to open the social sciences? Because actually you have very open reality. You don't have a closed reality which you are exploring. So this text is very interesting, as it gives you a history of social science, and it suggests that before 1945 the social science was quite positivist, but gradually it started realizing with emergence of Popper and other philosophers that social science cannot be positivist, and ultimately it has reached to the level that we are saying that let it be open. Social science is also culturally sensitive. It has to be culturally sensitive. Psychology will have to be culturally sensitive. Political science will have to be culturally sensitive. So this is a new thing that I think is emerging in social science. So with the history of science, with the complexity theory, with the opening social science, you are entering into a domain of social science where consciousness is becoming important, where openness is becoming important, where dominance of any paradigm is over, where no method is considered to be complete, no method is considered to be final, where no truth is considered to be final. Nothing is final like that. Let me make one more point. The change in the philosophy of science that has come, and it is very indicative, and it gives us a very good idea of what is the new thing that we are engaging with. In the positivist science, the basic idea was that regularity is the necessary and sufficient condition for social science, for science, which means like this, that if you have noted regularity in certain event, then you can generalize about that. You can abstract a theory about that. So you have experimented several times, you have experimented in various places, and if all the experiments are suggesting that event is being repeated every time, it means that there is some law working behind that, and through that you can arrive on the law and you can make a general theory. Now, regularity is considered to be necessary and sufficient condition. With the coming up of relativity theory and quantum physics, philosophers like Popper suggested that regularity can be a necessary condition for being science, but not a sufficient condition for being science. Means that you can't conclude by looking at the regularity that you can make a general statement, because no matter how many times regularity has occurred, you can't say by any means that same thing will happen next time again. So that is a big problem in social science called Humean problem, that what is the guarantee if an event has taken place for 100 times, 100 plus 1 time, the event will again take place. Like for example, we have seen sun every morning, but what is the guarantee that next morning again we can see the sun? There is no guarantee. Theoretically speaking, there is no guarantee. It is only guesswork. We are guessing it. So guess can be correct, guess can be may be wrong. We don't know about it. So therefore, all theories are tentative, because regularity cannot be considered as sufficient condition for being science. With the emergence of complexity theory and chaos theory and new philosophy of science, now we have arrived on this conclusion, what Roy Bhaskar says: regularity cannot be necessary or sufficient condition for being science. It is neither a necessary condition for being science nor a sufficient condition for being science. So this is the new stage of social science we are in. In this stage of social science, what is very important? What is very important is the idea of reflexivity. What is the idea of reflexivity? I will tell you what is the idea of reflexivity. The idea of reflexivity is that, well, human mind is very unique. Human mind is so unique that it looks at the immediate problem and responds to that. The artificial intelligence people, they are suggesting that computers are now developing very fast and computers are also responding to the problems. But even now, we don't have any way of making a computer which can respond to a program, to a problem which has not been programmed in the computer. It's only the human mind which has a tremendous reflexive capacity that it can produce entirely a new solution to a new problem. This is called reflexivity. So imagine, let me give you an example. Till the time you are sitting in this room and the doors are available and windows are available, you don't think about the way of going out. You are sure that the door is there, I can always go out. Imagine that you are locked inside and you can't open the door anymore. Then your mind will start working and looking for solution, and it will look for n number of solutions, keep looking for solutions, and it will discover something very quickly. So that is called reflexivity. So that is the reason that we innovate. That's how innovations take place. And the mind is so fertile, human mind is so fertile that it can generate entirely new form of social relations. It can generate entirely new form of political economy. Now, what is that? It is the process of becoming conscious. The process of becoming conscious, which actually makes human beings more reflexive. So it is through reflexivity that we become conscious of the reality. A general example, we know that if a child tries to touch a hot object, you keep stopping him, he will keep trying to touch it, and once he touches it, he acquires a consciousness which will never allow him to touch it again. So he will always see that any hot object or any object which is similar to that hot object will immediately withdraw his fingers. So this is something very, very interesting, that reflexivity is a process through which we become conscious of the social reality. Now, there could be false consciousness, there could be true consciousness. There could be a situation in which we don't have enough information to arrive on a consciousness, or there can be multi layers of consciousness. Not that the one layer is wrong, but one layer can only be very limited. Now, it is this element in contemporary thinking that brings in the idea of visual research. You go to the field, you collect the data, and you come back. You come back and analyze the data. While analyzing the data, what you do is your experience in the field, your personal experience in the field is always in the background. The connection in the data that you work out has to do with the experience that you collected in the field too. Now, this is where we can put in visuals as one of the ways of collecting data. And the data, when you just collect the numbers, then you actually lose a lot of data. You convert the reality into numbers, and you lose the sound data, you lose the emotion data, you lose the facial data, you lose all kinds of data. Then you collect still photographs. The still photographs give you more data than the numbers. Of course, it can add on to the numbers. But when you collect the moving photograph, or when you collect the video photograph, the video clips gives you the data about the process, how the social process is taking place. Society is not static, it is always moving on. The new social science tries to understand the reality in its progress, in its development, in its emergence. So it is emergent form of new social science, and visual data can help you in capturing that. Visual data can capture all these things together and present you a kind of data set which can ignite your reflexivity. That is the idea, that you went to the field, you captured the images, you have visual images, you have moving images, you have kind of video recordings. You come back and then start watching it carefully. That is how the mind will relax and use its reflexivity to connect between different information and may give you a new kind of insight in the social reality. And in a way it will enhance your memory and it will enhance your reflexivity. And visual research assumes, or it is very useful in the context of social research, particularly because it considers social reality as a process, and visual technology captures that process. And once that process is captured, then you can always abstract these images and make new kind of formulations. Now, there are many issues are there related to visual research. One is that whether can we use it as evidence? Of course, we can use it as evidence. It's better evidence than the data. You bring the data, you say we have collected the data. We don't know in what ways you have collected the data. We don't know how far you have gone into depth of the society to collect the data. But the visuals can help you the visual research can help you in producing some very concrete evidence which nobody can deny. It can present near complete picture of the reality. Near complete picture, I am saying that obviously even video recording is a recording in a time frame. It is recording in a time frame and the camera can't capture everything together. Camera can only capture the process, and maybe many processes are left out, as somebody says that where you are focusing the camera is also an act of politics. The camera is not neutral, camera is very political. There is a problem, there is a possibility of that, but yet I think it can capture more reality, more dimensions of reality compared to the other mode of capturing reality. It can recreate the reality in a way that the story looks to be complete. It may not be complete, but it is closer to complete because it has the capacity to recreate the story. It can put things into such a sequence that you get to know about the progressive reality, or reality in a progressive way. It's a moving reality that you can capture. So the processes which are invisible to you certain times, while editing the thing, you can recreate it in a way that it captures the totality. And there is a major issue involved today that I would like to discuss here is the relevance of social science. What is the relevance of social science? When we are producing data, do the people understand the data? People, I am saying, the people who are subject of your analysis. I mean, what is at the moment happening is that you produce a piece of research, it comes back to the university, the peer group talks about it, the peer group assumes that to be true, the authenticity is decided by the method that you have used, but authenticity is not decided by the people about whom you are talking. If you go back to them with your research and tell them, look, this is how we think about it, do you think in the same way about yourself? Look, these are the things which you could not observe by yourself, which we have got. We don't do this process. As a result, our research is a one-way research. It doesn't transform the reality that way. It only comes to the policy makers. The policy makers transform the reality in their own way. My concern is that can the people think about themselves through this research? I think the visual research is a very nice technique which can always go back to the people about whom you are theorizing. And it is a narrative, it is a story in the visual form, so they can understand that visual research very easily. They can capture that visual research, they can reimagine themselves. That reimagination is very important. I think this is where visual research has great advantage over other researchers. Now, how do we do this research? We can take a camera, go to the field, we can capture the visuals, we can have a narrative to start with, we can come back and then sit down and theorize. Let me give you three examples to you actually. One of the projects that I did with the visual research was trying to understand the homeless population in Delhi. The research on the homeless population in Delhi mostly were done earlier by non-governmental organizations, NGOs. The purpose of the NGOs research was to ask for funding to help the poor people staying on the streets, to collect some goods and some food to distribute that among them. So they were treating the issue of homelessness as an issue of charity, that we have to do charity towards them. My initial interaction with the homeless people, when I visited them, I started talking to them, I had a hunch that these people are actually not beggars. They are the part of the labor force of Delhi. But I had no way to prove the point, because if I would go by with survey method, the homeless population do not stay in one place, they keep moving. 3 lakh people, when I was doing a research, the estimate was that around 3 lakh people were staying on the streets. That was around 2002 or 3. So 3 lakh people were staying on the streets that time, and if you want to conduct a survey, the sampling would be very difficult. Locations were being changed, and if you think that you can stand with them with a questionnaire and they would understand your question and answer them properly, they had enough time to answer the question, then you are wrong. In fact, earlier some people started this kind of work and it could not be completed. So it was a big challenge for us. So we thought that why not to pick up the camera and try to talk to them. So we went there, and we also negotiated with something called National Institute of Labor, and we wanted to tell them that, look, we think that this is a labor issue, this is not an issue of charity. And nobody believed in the beginning. They thought that, oh, they have come here, they stay there, they stay on the streets, and all kind of misnomers were there. When we started working on the project, we discovered a pattern in the homelessness, that they come as casual labor, start working in some place or other, then they don't get enough money and enough resources, infrastructure to reproduce their labor power next day. Consequently, their labor power declines every day, and if they fall ill, if they meet some accident or something happens, then they lose that labor power completely, they become destitute. So there is a movement from a casual labor to a destitute, and this was part of the labor process. Now this we could capture only through visual research. We made half an hour film to put this evidence before the audience, and it was very powerful means to communicate. And also we gave this movie, we sat with them to see the movie, and they also had this feeling that we should get organized to fight against our situation. There was a very esteemed person there who mobilized people at some stage. We discussed with him, and the NGOs also talked about it, and that's how our research went back to the people, or may go back to the people in a better way. So this is a kind of method, this is a kind of research that social science in future will need much more than it needs now. Let me take another example. Somebody in Australia wanted to work on Aboriginals of Australia, and the language was different. Obviously, the ethnography research could have been done on them. Even then, the presence of an outsider always influenced the research results. So what they did, they gave them a camera, trained them in handling the camera, and left that to them and asked them to make films. And the Aboriginals produced their films, and those films became very interesting resource materials to work on them. I think these kind of things are spontaneously available to us these days. For instance, if somebody wants to work on the children in the schools, some research they want to conduct about their consciousness on various things of social importance, is very easy today. In most of the schools, children are supposed to produce a small visual or small video film. Now, if you collect those video films from the school, sit down and watch them carefully, you can easily get into the consciousness of the children. You can see a pattern in their thinking. You can find out what are they doing, and you can also use that as evidence, because you can put them together, and since they are made by students, so they are the hardcore data for you. I'll take another example. This very famous experiment called hole in the wall experiment. In this experiment, a professor wanted to know to what extent a child without any formal training of computer can handle computer. So he placed certain computers in the walls of government schools where you have certain kind of JJ colonies around, and the computer was kept open for 24/7, and there was a camera fixed in the wall. Children used to come, they would play with the computer and go back home. The camera would capture their activities. Surprisingly, the researcher discovered that these children, having no knowledge of computer, no exposure to computer, can learn computer very fast, can learn to open up things very fast. The data that they collected through camera and also through the data stored in the computer about the operation of the computer was amazing. Now, this kind of research can be done only through visuals, capturing the visuals. You can also have several kind of data available with the government, with the families, which are in the visual form, and you can put them together and use various tools to analyze them. Now, on the tools I am not speaking much today, because on the tools one can then have very specific tools to analyze the visual. You can see a pattern, you can locate certain items and try to see the re-emergence of those items. You can analyze the discourse in the visual, you can analyze the color pattern of the visual, you can analyze the dress pattern of the visual. All kind of things are there. Somebody has analyzed the visual of some political leaders, their dress in various occasions, on various occasions. Suppose the person is going to a party, going to meet another leader, going to meet the public. So he has demonstrated how the dress sense of these leaders are highly communicative. It's not normal. There is a kind of pattern in that. When they are going to meet the public, they will try to dress up in their traditional ethnic way so that they can communicate to the people. When they are going to meet the authorities, they will dress up very differently. So these kind of research can be considered as visual research, and visual research can give us many kinds of information which can be very useful for contemporary social science, particularly because the social science is now quite opened up. It is considering all kind of possibilities of research. Now, there are three issues involved in this. One is the issue of subjectivity versus objectivity. Can you say that this kind of research is objective research? Because science, after all, social science is science in a way that it has to claim to knowledge, and for that it has to have certain kind of objectivity. I think the issue of objectivity has to be considered in terms of the possibility of knowledge. I think objectivity is cannot be ultimate goal of anything. If we are handling very subjective issues, we can't have very objective knowledge about very subjective issues. There will be some kind of subjectivity involved. However, if we open our research techniques, if we open our raw videos for scrutiny, then probably we are maintaining that basic norm of social research, that we are transparent in our research, and then one may have involvement of some kind of subjective interpretation of that much space should be given. The other issue is that of technology versus creativity. Some people suggest that the moment you use technology, your creativity is gone. I don't think it is true. I think technology, if it is used properly, it can enhance creativity. In fact, in this sense particularly, your capacity to interpret social reality is enhanced in many more ways, and the kind of data that supports your memory is just tremendous, and you can use that to understand the social reality in much more creative way. In fact, you can creatively theorize the social reality if you use this kind of visual. The last is visual, written word versus visuals. I mean, a lot of debate is going on this, that can be considered visual produced by a student as a research product, or it has to be in a written word. It has to be a thesis properly written. I think world might change. There was a debate in LSE. Some people told me that Professor John Harris told me that one of the students made a film, and he said that that should be considered as his PhD product. But then committee suggested that apart from the visuals, you should also write down your thesis. So this writing down, the hegemony of the written word, I think has to be re-examined by social scientists of tomorrow, because this is a new technique that is emerging and that is becoming popular. It's not very difficult now to capture a video. We can see that how YouTube and Facebook are flooded with videos produced by people locally, and sometimes they are extremely powerful. In the media, the corporate media doesn't want to show something, but if people want, they capture those things and start putting on the YouTube, and you know that the visibility is so much enhanced of the YouTube that government has to respond to that, or the people have to respond to that. So this is something emerging, and we have to understand this point, that how we can use that for our social science research. I think that's what I wanted to discuss about visual research today. Maybe if some questions come, I can pick them up. Yeah.
Okay, as you told that the hegemony of written words need to be re-examined, to be broken up. But when we consider visual as a you can say authority, not authority, but what you may say as a benchmark. What benchmark need to be set before we considering it as an authentic work or authentic product of the research?
See, I think that that has to emerge gradually. You know, since we have never allowed visual research to enter into our social science till now, so we have to develop the benchmark of authenticity. We had, like the ethnography was not accepted earlier, now ethnography is accepted, and people think that the diary of the ethnographer is considered to be authentic document. Similarly, probably visuals will also be important, particularly, you know, the communities which are marginalized, we can't speak, which can't write properly, which doesn't have any control on language that the public speak. They have their own language. So in those cases, particularly, I think the visuals become very powerful, and many communities in third world societies, particularly, visuals become very powerful. Let me tell you one interesting story about this. You know, the recent trend in films, particularly both in Hindi and English films, the Bollywood and Hollywood films, you will find that a very important viewpoint is being projected, and it is going to the public.
Yeah.
There are a series of films you can watch. There's a film called Chaos Theory. There's a film called Butterfly Effect. There's a film called Oxford Murder. There's a film called Teen Patti in Hindi. So series of films are projecting one basic idea, that reality is not closed, it is open, and nothing can be said definitely. Okay. Now this idea, the academics is yet to capture, but the films have captured, and they are also projecting. Now if you go by authenticity dimension, I mean, look at the Hindi film called Munna Bhai MBBS. What was the idea? It was a critique of the modern knowledge system. Or look at the film called Three Idiots. It's a critique of the knowledge, training and knowledge. So all these new films, you see that they are emerging not only as entertainers, but they have a viewpoint, and they are trying to project certain kind of solid philosophical idea. So this is new emerging thing, and I think that the method of understanding the reality will have to incorporate these things gradually.
Okay.
You can't
But
really
here we
miss them
find
out.
that there is a large scope of manipulation, because the viewpoint what we want to communicate, as you said, that is a critique of the modern knowledge system, a modern way of giving training or the education. So this way one side of the story goes, and as far as the visual is concerned, it has more reliability quotient. So the people who watch it, they rely and they start again criticizing, but their point of view is not of criticizing, but might, if they experience the same thing, might have another kind of point of view.
There is a possibility that if even in the research, even in the non-visual research that we are doing today, you know, the viewpoints
But
are
the
there.
impact of that is not as much as the visual.
That's right. Therefore, it will be more contested, and therefore it will be more relevant also. Today, what we do is we conduct our social science research and put it in the library in the book form. 90% of the population doesn't read that. They have no idea what the research has been done. Some research is filtered through and comes through the newspaper to the people.
Okay.
Some research get translated into a policy, but mostly they are kind of dumped.
So you are suggesting that if we do this kind of research, the research will come out from the self up to the
exactly, it will go to the people, and then it will be more contested. Some people may deny that, some people may accept that. They can produce counter visuals. So I think this will go on, and people on whom you are working, they will also get involved in that. So remember a film called Viswatma. What was the author? The director? Kamala Hassan's film. Now the film was talking about some kind of militancy and all, and there was a big protest against that. There are a lot of books written about militancy. There hardly any protest about it, but the film is so powerful medium. So why not social scientists also use this medium, not only to explore the reality, but also to communicate the reality. That is the point I want to make.
Okay.
And I am saying there is a possibility of this in this.
Okay, this is about impact of the visual research. But now, when we try to understand as far the procedure and the rules that we follow in the research, does it meet all this kind of norms?
No, as I said that, you know, the norms have to be redefined. Till now, what we have done is we have defined the norms according to the hegemony of the written words, right?
Okay.
So about that, you get a lot of books and everything, that what is to be done, what is not to be done. I think the emerging trend suggests that the social scientists will have to sit down and decide how to standardize the knowledge system produced in the form of visuals. That has to be done gradually. But the first struggle is to make them accept this fact that there could be a research project only in the form of visuals, or mainly in the form of visuals, or at least also in the form of visuals. I think that is the struggle that we are into
That
at the moment.
need to be laid emphasis on that.
Absolutely. That has to be, we have to be trained, our students have to be trained in producing visuals. Our students have to be trained in handling camera.
But the few universities are already taking such kind of projects.
I think that in the Western universities, most universities do have visual libraries. They have now archive of these films. They buy these films from all over the world, put there. So if anybody suppose wants to work on daily homeless people, what they will do, they will first watch those films produced, then they will read the books, then they will come and work on that. So they get already a lot of information through all these things. I think Indian library system has not developed this kind of section where the films are accumulated. I think we don't have that as yet.
That we are doing on educational.
Yes, yeah, I think the kind of work that you are doing, if you look at the present trend in the West, that the universities do have their recorded lectures and they are made online available, and Apple iPad or iPhone, you can directly play those lectures and listen. So before you enter into the class, you already have listened to the lecture of the professor.
And
So
what
that
is the point of view of the professors?
point of view of the professor. So the level of the discussion inside the class will always go up,
Okay.
because now you know about the professor's viewpoint. So you can create your own viewpoint. I think this is something that the next generation learners will have to train themselves in, and the universities will have to produce this kind of things.
So the apprehension of some of the professors that it will replace the system, but that is not going to replace, it is going to strengthen the knowledge system.
Yeah, I think there is a statement by somebody who says that if a teacher can be replaced by technology, he should be replaced by technology. Only those teachers should be retained in the university who have no substitute. I mean, that is I'm just making a statement. It's a politically wrong statement. But the fact is that instead of fearing the technology, we should use the technology to our advantage. The human interaction with the student is very different thing than the technological interaction, no doubt about it. In the human interaction, a teacher, when he is teaching students, he actually engages with each one of them. He knows when he is communicating, while communicating itself, he or she keeps changing the strategy. As I said, the difference between computer and the human beings. So the teacher can understand the emotion of the people, can mellow down the tone when speaking, can enhance the tone, all kind of things can be done. Computers can't do it. But definitely, if as far as information is concerned, that can be available through computer, and that should be available through computer, and the students should try to grapple with that. That I think is extremely important today. We can't say that teachers can be replaced, but definitely teachers should start using these visual technologies to train the students, and there is no doubt about it.
Now there is one in academic community, wiki, another even among a student, they are sharing their knowledge systems. So how can one visualize such kind of things?
I think that's very important. You know, as I think the technological literacy among the students is increasing every day, and technology is becoming cheaper. It is becoming available to everybody gradually. We should use these kind of techniques of interaction between the students, 24/7 interaction with the students according to their own convenience. So if a course is being taught, and the course is being linked with a Facebook, and students start interacting on the Facebook, I think that's a very healthy thing to do. But they will get involved in this. And also, when I think in my class, when I put up this idea, I throw this idea that, well, we both are trying to learn, and whatever new resources you find, you please communicate that to me. Since then, my archive of films is growing. Since then, my archive of various kinds of websites is growing. So I think the classroom has to transform into a teaching learning scenario where both of us are trying to explore things. And they bring in new things, they bring in new ideas. And if technology can be supportive to them, we can train them in using technology in a better way, it will definitely lead to further innovations. It will not. Some people believe that use of technology will make them dull. Use of technology is so boring and is non-creative. I don't think so. I think use of technology is extremely creative. Use of technology can enhance your innovation capacity. So we should try to do that. For instance, suppose somebody is working on a political movement, and if I can give you an example. Somebody is working on, a student is working on this Janpath and the protest in that area. Now, what she is doing, she is collecting the visuals of that area, and she sits down and analyzes the visuals. Now, this can be very good. I mean, she uses all kinds of technology to capture the visual and has the data at our disposal, which can tell a lot of things to the people. So I think this kind of visual research is extremely important. Bremen has used it to talk about the changes in the labor scenario in Mumbai. Has some photographs of the houses, goods inside the houses, size of the houses, and in Mumbai area basically. So that's the new thing emerging.
Well, friend, this is a new area, but it's evolving strongly. So we feel that in coming days, it will certainly will take a certain shape, and students and professor will use this method. So with this word, we conclude the lecture, and I thank all of you for watching the lecture. On your behalf, I thank Dr. M. Thakur for giving such a wonderful lecture. Thank you.